That you're working on the approval, right? It's the approve
Yes,
button.
yes.
Yes. Okay.
The factor.
Think about maybe once that runs is just making sure that the data is correct, so that we can. I'll give you a green color for your work, and then I guess. So these highlights can get in the way. That's why I send them to the back usually with page down. And so then you can still select the things on top. I think you can use layers and things like that as well. So you could have things like this, what Krzysztof is working on right now with an initial up there on the event model. Sorry, I'm gonna steal the sharing for now.
Okay.
So I don't know who Johnson is, but they haven't been approved yet. So because they didn't show up in Slack to say hello.
I pinged on Slack, but there was no response.
Is there a Johnson on Slack?
Yeah, but I got no response whatsoever.
Okay, well that's too bad. They should. I guess we'll just have the instructions for next time. But the protocol is to join the Slack and interact with people on the Slack in order to participate. Otherwise, we get just trolls. Where are we here? Time tracking. Okay, cool. Right, so time tracking, or at least general. I don't know if we general. Okay, that is fine. Okay, so on this here event model, we have what Krzysztof is working on. So as I said, he's working on making sure that there's a screen that we can see, that when you press the button, the command is submitted, and that right now, no business rules, just gets accepted and stores an event to the file system as per our little quote-unquote architecture here. We're going through the browser. There is no Nginx yet. We're going to try and play around with something that'll take place of Nginx, or whether we actually have to have Nginx. We'll have it here. But the file system is what we're going to share for these things. So as long as you're running in the same directory, all these different stacks here should be able to investigate and look at the event store, and later we'll materialize some views and use tokens for login, etc. Any questions about this method for starting the project to make sure that we have the simplest thing that could work? And I guess you could think of these things as being part of that. For now, anyway. Okay, and here I am. a func thing. There we go. No, anyway, I'll figure that out. And meanwhile, extra stuff, you can take back your sharing so we will have something useful to look at while I figure out my part. Anyone else coding? Nope. Okay. Martin, the link I put also in the in the Slack channel, so that you can see.
Hey, Adam. This,
Hey.
I missed the discussion on the implementation since I was in my meeting, but so I take it that it's just serializing into JSON into the file system, basically?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And we can talk about some of the simple conventions we can use to help ourselves out right now, such as, what do we call those files? Do we use the type of event and then some timestamp maybe, and other things, right? Or do we rely on the created model?
Okay.
Okay.
My audio here. Can you guys hear me still?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so yeah, definitely we want to have that simple approach of just serializing events, inspecting them, so naming them something, with some convention, so they're easy to navigate and understand where each type of, what type of each event is, obviously where it belongs on the timeline of when it happened, and then to use that information to display things back to the user. So the reason we want to do this, we don't want to go down the rabbit hole of creating read models, which are SQL, which will have tables and all sorts of concerns. Right now, we should be able to quickly iterate through the files. We can see that we can have helper views that will index them, for example, and that's enough so that we don't have to parse everything, and things like that. So we can do that. If you want to start implementing things, you can basically follow the conventions of any of these three projects. I'm hoping that what we'll have is a common repo that can use these three as submodules, so you can have the whole thing running, and a README at the top saying that this is how you do polyglot development, and this time tracker you can easily replace something to be a .NET implementation or a Node implementation if you don't like something and you want to work with a different language, or you want to introduce your own language. Someone already said PHP, right? That's a very, very common one. So I would absolutely love to see some PHP in here, because it's not about being judgmental about what language you prefer versus another. It's about enabling everyone to work with whatever stack they're comfortable with. And as long as the state transition's done correctly and done in the same amount of time that everything else is done, or at least a reasonable SLA, then there's no reason why it shouldn't be there unless it's breaking some problems, right? So creating some problems and breaking the solution. So I'm just going to add PHP on here too, since someone, a lot of people voted again on what they want to see, but there's certainly a different set of people that that want to actually develop. So I understand lots of people just want to watch, which is good, but we want to make sure that that's actually going to be work that people can see or participate in.
I can start on PHP, but could you assign me something?
You can pick one that you like. Hopefully something that is close to another piece of implementation.
Okay. So command and event, right? So
Uh,
perhaps
you,
reject timesheet as opposed to approve timesheet.
yeah, you could do a reject timesheet. That would be a good exercise for a different path to take. So we have some orchestration. That button will go to a different path, and if we're not going to use Nginx, I'm not sure if we have the power to change the port. So I think we need to actually have some sort of way to route between different URLs to even get different ports. So that's usually done on the server side behind anything from that. So if you have an idea of how to do that, how to route the different requests to the different stacks, feel free to suggest something. As long as it's nice and simple for people to understand, I'm all for any types of schemes that you want, even if it is replacing the Nginx idea. Anyone else before do this type of routing in their history of developing stuff? I'm sure there should be a lot with all the microservices implementations over the last few years, right? I know. Think of a PHP. I think it's an elephant, right?
Yeah.
I now use Angular with .NET Core.
Does it work now? Sorry, I didn't hear you. You were quiet.
Okay, I'm quiet.
You were too quiet.
In new project, I use Angular with .NET Core, not BC.
Okay. Oh, thanks, Christoph. All right, so now we have our 4 different stacks. Huh. It's interesting. This Miro is quite good by not insisting on snapping to certain points on some of these things. I can snap to the edge for the arrows. This large rectangle at the bottom, I was able to just snap the arrows to different parts of that edge. instead of having them all come into one, which I think is the default behavior with the stickies, that when you have an edge, they all seem to come into one. Might be a point in trying to not use the sticky in Miro and instead use the rectangle. I think there's also a limit on the characters in a sticky, whereas I think a rectangle is just, you could put paragraphs in there. And some people have come to the limit of how much information they could put into an event, for example. We want this to be a different port. Well, this one's going to require some heavy editing because we've done quite a bit of, we've been all over the place and waiting for a lot of implementations, and I don't think someone's going to sit through 4 hours of getting Slack notifications and a whole bunch of setup as well. Anyway, usually the first day of a new project is a lot of this kind of stuff, so this is no different. And if you guys want, please update the event model down there to reflect the different routes that you're going to have in the different stacks. So I think we're going to have .NET, Golang, and PHP in the next one. So Krzysztof, you're doing PHP as well? Or is that someone else?
No, I know. I don't.
Okay.
I don't like PHP.
Well, that's okay. See, this is how the world can live in harmony. Different languages can live in the same solution. And if you have okay, there's a reject. Okay, that's fine. So I was looking at the event model, and some of the vertical stripes vertical bars didn't contain the entire work. But that's okay. I think I know what's going on. The other thing that we have on the event model, timesheet rejected. That's part of the completeness check that we're going to have to look at, because that currently fails. That event is not being used anywhere subsequently, in no screen or read model. So we'll definitely add those. But for now, we'll just store that rejected event. Also, back to the IDs, the idea of different IDs. For the first implementation, that's going to be an interesting one, because you generally want to have the name of the event, which you're going to store in the file system, to have some sort of a type. So basically type of entity, or aggregate if you're using DDD terms. And then the ID of that, which could be a number, or in this case, we could have some sort of a composite key that's a string-based thing that'll make it easy for us to investigate the events sitting on disk to see when someone, for example, rejected a particular timesheet entry. So, you know, if you can imagine a lot of the code, a lot of the information that's inside the event to be propped up and used as part of the name of the event, it should give us a very easy way to inspect on the directory, in the directory, what events have happened and to what. So we can glean quite a lot of info just by looking at the directory listing. But for actual functionality, we obviously always rely on what's in the serialized part of the file, and that way we can apply a more generic approach to treating the event stream with filters that don't have to get the information from two sources, the name of the file and also the contents of the file. So hopefully everyone kind of follows that thinking, and we can do that. Okay, we're gonna probably. Oh, look at that. That looks pretty good. Okay, well, I think we have. I'm going to schedule the next event for Thursday to get through some more of the implementation. We have a couple of people working on that. I'm going to do my Golang piece at some point here today and tomorrow, and from there we can run the whole thing and start to time track and exercise this and fix any of the information completeness problems during the next one. So I think we got through to enough. I don't know if we were able to finish. Krzysztof, are you finished with your piece right now, or you're
With
moving on to the
approve,
next one, right?
yes. Yeah, I
Can
do.
you stash your changes and just walk through the one thing being shown on the browser, just so we get it
Okay.
for the stream?
Approve. If you want to,
Yeah,
I
just to
shall.
see the
Okay.
approve.
Okay, because I have.
We haven't touched the testing yet. We're just playing with infrastructure, but for sure we'll get into the testing stuff, which I think was addressed quite nicely in the Golang episode last Friday.
Okay. I have the page with approve.
Was that the link you made for
Which
last Friday?
I can't hear that. Can you type the question maybe? Because you're breaking in and out of.
You talked about last Friday.
Oh, yeah. Last Friday we had a similar session where Jamie was showing the Golang implementation of OAuth done in event sourced style and using event modeling for the design. So I pasted that in the Slack channel, the link
Okay.
to that YouTube. You can take a look at it there.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so there is another event. What's the name of that? Can you zoom in on that just a little bit?
Oh.
Okay, so you just have a timestamp, right? Timesheet approved. Okay, so we might play
Yes.
around with the convention for these file names, and perhaps repeat
Timestamp.
and
Type.
repeat some of the information from inside the event externally. So when we do a directory listing of all the events, it still gives us more information.
Okay, I have to timestamp. tick
Yeah, of course.
and
That's fine.
Name of the event class.
Because the timestamp, if we trust the system for now, we can use the create or modify time from the file system. So we don't have to have that, because we can always order the directory to be in, timeline. So that'll give us that information. I mean, or we could maybe store it in a more readable way where we have, year, month, day, hour, minute, second for our, we probably don't need to go to milliseconds, although we might want to. This is just for the example. Obviously, once we switch this to store things in Event Store or something else, we'll have, better ordering guarantees. So, but for now, yeah, we'll move to that. Okay, well then I will end it here. Thank you very much, everyone, for doing that. We'll follow up with more links as to the implementation, and I'll schedule the next one for this Thursday. So, and announce it that we're going to be testing some of these 2 or 3 stacks that we have that are going, and continue from the perspective of actually perhaps deploying it somewhere and iterating slowly over all the features. So as homework, obviously follow what Chris has done, Krzysztof has done here, and we'll and of course use the example in last Fridays to get some of the code. Don't get too caught up on some of the organization. You can do this with one file. You don't have to have as much as Krzysztof has added, just as long as you're meeting the requirements shown by the event model to get to the next step. And the next step is just store that event, and we'll start adding the business rules to it in the next one. So again, homework, you can do part of that as your homework, but hopefully in the next one we'll get through to actually deploying it. So all right, thanks everyone. I'm gonna have to drop off. I'm gonna leave you guys to stay if you like, but I have to get to a call, and then we'll reconvene on Thursday. I'll make that announcement on Twitter and the Slack channel. So see you on Thursday.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Bye.